Okay, so today I want to talk about how to track a meal at a restaurant without nutrition information. I know that this can be kind of an overwhelming thing for new macro trackers, but I promise it's not that complicated, and I have 5 easy steps to make tracking at a restaurant super macro manageable. So the first step is you're going to want to look up the menu for the restaurant that you're going to. And if you can look it up a day or two before, that's great because then it allows you to pre track the whole meal. So then you're able to adjust your macros for the whole day. So this is a restaurant I went to last week. It was a dinner out with my boyfriend. This is the menu, and I looked at it ahead of time to see, what sounded good to me and what would be doable for my macros. I'm on a low carb cut, so I wanted to find something that was going to be relatively low carb but also high protein. So I looked at the salads, and the Mediterranean tuna salad sounded great and low carb. It didn't have any bread or noodles or anything with it. And I love tuna, so that sounded like a great option. The second thing you want to do is once you pick out your dish, you want to go to the restaurants like Yelp or their website and try to find a photo of the dish. So this is a photo I found of the dish, and it confirmed this is what I wanted because I thought it looked delicious. But looking at the dish, it gives me a better idea of how I can track this meal ahead of time in my Fitness Pal. So then I'm able to, this is my dinner, so then I'm able to plan what I should have for breakfast and lunch that day. So I can look at the meal, how much tuna there is. It looks about 4 ounces. I can see the kale is wet, so it's probably dressed in a vinaigrette. I can see the size of the deviled egg. So then I can take all that information and enter it into my Fitness Pal ahead of time, which is going to be step 3. So step 3 is entering, everything that I see on the dish into my Fitness Pal. So I entered the 4-ounce tuna, I entered 2 cups of kale, 1-ounce goat cheese. I found a deviled egg that I thought sounded reasonable for the macros based on what I saw. I just tracked a high-calorie vinaigrette, a high-fat vinaigrette, because that's typically what restaurants are going to serve on their menu with their dishes. And then I also tracked some cucumber. So this gives me the total macros of 16 carbs, 29 fat, 46 protein. So then I know for the rest of the day what my calories and macros available are, so that I'm able to plan and have my breakfast and lunch and enjoy this dinner and still fall within my macro and calorie range without going too far over. The fourth step that you want to do is take a picture of your actual dish at the restaurant, and pay attention to if anything is different at the restaurant compared to what you pre-tracked. So this was my actual dish, and I took a photo of it on my phone, and then I put my phone away. I don't need to be on my Fitness Pal at dinner, but I do want to take a photo of the dish and then just kind of pay attention to what's different compared to what I tracked. So I didn't know on the menu or in the photo that there was going to be beets or potatoes or olives or almonds or tomatoes. So this was all stuff that I had to either decide not to eat or to adjust in my Fitness Pal. And I was able to get the vinaigrette off of the kale, but I could see that the beets, potato, everything else, it was soaked in some oil, so I did want to make sure that I tracked that. So later on that night, I went back into my Fitness Pal and I adjusted what I actually ate compared to what I had pre-tracked. So I changed the kale to 1 cup because it was smaller than I had anticipated. I added in some beets, some nut, like 2 nuts. I didn't have that much. And then I took out the vinaigrette and I added in a tablespoon of oil because I felt like that was more likely what the vegetables were tossed in. So the wrap up is these are the 5 steps for tracking a meal out. So first step is look up the restaurant menu and pick what sounds good and macro reasonable, manageable for you. Number 2 is check the restaurant's Yelp or Google for pics of the dish. Number 3 is to pre-track the meal by guesstimating the ingredients in MyFitnessPal. And it's always better to err on the side of over-tracking things like sauces and oils and then seeing if you can get them removed. And then also, like I said, tracking ahead of time lets you set up the rest of your day so then you're still able to hit your targets for the day. Number 4 is when you get the meal, pay attention to anything is different than what you tracked. And then number 5 is just adjusting it in MyFitnessPal. And for what you actually ate, because it may end up being that you don't even eat the whole dish, or that you make adjustments like I did, or didn't notice certain things in the photo previously like I did. So yeah, those are my 5 tips for tracking a meal out without nutrition info.